again, again. Again, I realize it is music. It is music to be free, to speak loosely, you know, and I only wish to, so I can speak even looser still and still be correct without poisoning anyone's ear, including my own. And I think this is a goal. This is a thing to be achieved. This is the effortless desire. The effortless desire. And, we wish to intuitively do what we must practice. We wish to intuitively do what we must practice, but practice intuitively. I swear. And you do not learn how to improv by reading music. You learn by following your heart. You learn by feeling. You learn by learning what's inside of you that is worth expressing. And finding a way to express it. And as you express it, as you feel it, you feel when it misses. You feel when it falls a little under. You feel when it's going too high. You feel when you're too loose and too stiff. And you improvise. You play with yourself. And you become who you are. This to me is the most important task. This to me is the most important task. And if you are living in a situation where you are unable to fulfill this task, I believe you're being robbed. You must be being robbed, because the most powerful state that we can be in, if there is a powerful state to be in, it is the one where we are most ourselves, where we are doing the things that make us feel like most. Make us feel like ourselves most. And if we are robbing ourselves of this opportunity, it's like, damn, it's like, what do you have to do? Because this life isn't long enough. If only we had eternity, what we would become. But this life is not long. And you cannot waste it doing the will of other people. You cannot waste it throwing away your energy to someone else for them to enjoy. And they don't even enjoy their own freedom. They enjoy money. They enjoy money because they believe that sacrificing life for money is somehow better than freedom. This is not better than freedom. Although it relieves you of quite a few fucking physical problems, earthly problems, internally your freedom has been unaltered. If anything, it's been defiled. Because now you have equated that this money is important. This money is as, if not more, important than life. This is what this situation manifests. This is the fruit of this situation. But I swear to you, if you can find yourself in a situation where you do not need to plow the majority of yourself into the ground to eat, and to have a roof over your head, and to stay warm, and to do all the things that you love and enjoy, I swear to you, what would you do if you didn't need money? What would you actually do if you didn't need a fucking dollar? If you never had to do anything for a dollar? What is the thing that you would be doing? And we don't even consider this, we're so satiated by our inconveniences. And having to meet them, we don't even consider our dreams. What would you do if you didn't need another dollar for the rest of your life? It's like, what would your life look like? What would you be chasing? what would you be creating? Like, what kind of person would you be? What kind of life would you have? It's like, would you become an artist? Would you want to master the making of murals? Would you want to embody this kind of person that you believe in? You know? If all of your energy could be invested into this instead of all these other inconvenient things you do just to satisfy your needs. If your needs were met, what the fuck would you do? And for some reason, you see people winning the lottery. You see people that have their needs met, and somehow they find themselves bored. This is the most modern problem. It's such a modern problem. It's a bourgeois problem. To find yourself bored. And if you're rich enough to find yourself bored, it's just as saddening as being too poor to even get to a point of boredom. But I swear to God, the poor person's gonna enjoy life a little more, regardless of the suffering, than the man who has everything and is bored. What a shame on life boredom is. As if there's nothing to do. There is something great to do, only we haven't found it in ourselves to meet it. We've shriveled away, and our constant shriveling away has made our backs too bent to look up, to see what it is that we ought to do. Even though these stand-up citizens, walk from the finest cafes, with their lapadoodles and their fine cuts and just looking like such impressive, like the only thing to do is to demonstrate that you are bored. That's the most important thing. Like, what the fuck? But I'm oversimplifying, the bourgeois class. I'm sure they're interested in domination and power as well. It's like asserting their status is just the mildest aspect of that. But this is another form of boredom to me, because if you were satisfied by life itself, you would not have to dominate anyone to feel your power. You wouldn't have to dominate anyone to enjoy any satisfaction with life. I swear it, although this is an ancient drive. Although it is an ancient drive. Our evolution requires its reconfiguration. And our drive to dominate becomes our drive to manifest. Becomes our drive to create. Becomes our drive to be. And I think that is the foundation of the domination drive. I believe that is its actual source, is the creative power. It's a feeling, it's a very strong feeling. That is the creative power that wishes to dominate. They wish to be. They wish to push themselves forth. And everything that is in their way, they must annihilate. The thing that forces the man into his cave, that scares him, it is the same drive that pushes the man out of the cave to confront it. Because he must be. And so he dominates, and so he learns. And he imagines tools, and he imagines plans and strategies to dominate, to make sure of his being. But this drive has been over-intellectualized, and we have turned the earth into a maze of traps. And excessive domination, excessive destruction, and it is not to ensure our being. It's to ensure another being that has nothing to do with us anymore. It is to ensure ideals that are separated from all human existence. I swear to you that people should be sacrificed for these ideals is the greatest shame. But currently, the world is a jungle. The world is a jungle of dangers. And there are different creatures coming forth constantly to take. To take and take and take. And some are desperate. Some are so desperate that they must take. You know, others are simply planning ahead to overly ensure. And I think it was said by Hitler, you know, all of Europe will starve before a German goes hungry. This is this exact same thought. All of Europe will starve before a single German goes hungry. It's the exact same thought. And it's the thinking. The thinking derives from a place of scarcity. We are still imagining that we are being chased by the predator and that we are starving, and so we create starvation in order to make sure we have stockpiles behind our home. You know, it's so unnecessary. This thinking is outdated. Our psychology does not catch up with our technology. It doesn't catch up with our means. We have yet to become the humans we have built. We have built a world for humans that we are not worthy of being currently. You know, the amount of suffering, the amount you want to kill millions of people for gold? And then what? These incredible ideas of like preservation, excessive preservation. And I mean, if you look at you know, someone like Alex Hormozy, you know, and he's speaking to different billionaires about their techniques, about their mentalities, about their strategies, you know, and about their fundamental attitudes towards life. You know, you start to get the feeling that these people that have accumulated hundreds of millions of dollars, they're afraid of being broke still. They're still afraid of going broke. And then you meet your friend that has $500 in his account, and you know, on rent next week, he's not worried about it, which is incredible. You know, which is incredible that this idea of accumulating to the point where it's like you could literally live for the rest of your life without ever having to do another singular thing, but you are afraid of losing it. You're terrified of losing it, and that's what drives you to continue to go on. And I think many extremely wealthy people do actually think this way. I only have proof of one or two, maybe a few more than that, evidence in my own skull, but you know, if you do a little digging, because I'm not doing it now, I think you might find the same thing is true. And then something else is it's the funnest game you can play. It's the funnest game you can play, and I think Alex Hormozy started as someone that was very interested in fitness. He was very interested in, you know, because that was one of the only two things he really enjoyed. He did everything you were supposed to do, going to school. He got perfect grades. He went to a great school, and he was mentored by his father. And yeah, and then he went through university doing as well as he could, and he landed the dream job. He was making $400,000 a year straight out of fucking university, and he was living in this beautiful condo, and he had everything he ever wanted, and he was fucking miserable. And he needed to get out. He needed to get out because he seriously was considering killing himself. You know, having everything, and it's like, damn, you know, it's like, this isn't it. This isn't it. And he was driven to, I need to do something I believe in. I need to do something I at least feel and like and enjoy. And for him, that was fitness. It was either that or frozen yogurt, but the frozen yogurt market was saturated, it seems. So he went into fitness, and he, you know, went down to learn how to open a gym, and, you know, he spent all of his money trying to do this, and, you know, after quitting this job, and he bought his own gym eventually, and he was sleeping on the floor, and suddenly it dawned on him, oh shit, rent is coming up for this place. And I need to get people to work out. I need to get people to get in this fucking gym. And he started to learn how to sell. He started to learn how to convince people to do this thing that he believed in. And, by believing in it, it made him a very good salesman. And he continued to do well. And he started opening more gyms. And he started to change his business model where he started to teach other people how to open gyms, how to arrange the furniture, how to set up the lighting, how to position your desk to get people to say yes to coming and changing their lives working out. And he nailed it. He boiled it down to a very specific science, and continued going around like this until the gyms that he was opening for and collecting some money from turned on him, made all the people he got signing up to refund their money. And I'm just telling this man's life story. But Alex Hormozi to me is he just realized it is the most exciting game for him. And I think he was hitting rock bottom. He hit rock top over there when he had that great job. Now he's hitting rock bottom. Bunch of businesses, everything's failing, and he's hemorrhaging money. He's basically in more debt than he's making money, and he's desperately trying to sell things in order to pay the few staff that he has. And he had to cancel. He had to cancel a few jobs, and he's calling back these gyms that he's supposed to open for after all these refunds were going down. And he's like, I can't. This is it's too dangerous to continue opening for other gyms. We have to switch the model. I'm losing too much money. And he calls a gym and he says, I cannot open for you. And then this gym owner is so desperate to get the results that he has produced in another gym that he's aware of, and all these other examples that he has. It's like, please, man. And it's like, if you can't come and do this for us, can you at least give us a course, give us the information that you used to do it. I will pay you. And you name the price. And he tried to give a fuck off price. He named an extremely ridiculous price for a 1 hour phone call. And I think he said around $12,000. The guy without hesitation said yes. And that was I don't know, that was a milestone. But that's a weird word to say. That was a enlightening, game-changing moment for Mr. Hormozi, because he realized this in that moment can be his model. And he got out of the business of owning gyms, and he got into the business of teaching people how to build them, teaching people how to get the equipment, teaching people how to manage them, teaching people how to sell and what to sell, and what tone you should use, what kind of staff you should hire, when you should be firing them if they're not performing well. And all of this he started to put into a very concise package that he sold because it was extremely valuable. And this is his work. This is what he continues to do now. It's like, only he doesn't just do this with gyms. He's been able to cross over many of the lessons he has learned onto many different businesses. And his current company is called Acquisition.com, or that's his website. It's Acquisition. And basically, they just buy a stock in companies that are doing, between 1 million and 10 million, and he gets them to be making 100 million. And he invests in them. It's in his best interest that they do well. And him and his wife are able to go in and identify, and she was a very early on business partner of his when he was hitting rock bottom, and she stuck by him. And she is an extremely adept salesperson, and seems to be very keen for, identifying the kind of characters people have almost immediately. But that became their model. Becoming a part owner of these companies and identifying their weak spots, identifying their bottlenecks, and applying strategies that they are confident and know with a track record work, and helping them build their staff, helping them build their organization to the point where they were 10xing what they were doing before they met them. And that's his model. And I say it this way, I say all of this way because this became the most exciting game to play for him. That is the most exciting game. And, you know, in some conversations with talking with other extremely wealthy people, you know, they build something. They spend all of their time building something. Building something that becomes incredibly valuable. And then they finally pull the plug and they sell it. They sell it to someone and then they cash in and they have hundreds of millions of dollars, even billions of dollars sometimes, and they're suddenly depressed. You know, because they just sold their child. You know, they just sold their thing that they put all of their life into. And they don't have something. They don't have a massive bone to chew on anymore. They don't have a fulfilling task that requires them to demonstrate their power. And also, they don't have cash flow. It's very different having a stagnant amount of money, which is large, and then having less money but having cash flow. It's a completely different perspective. It instantly switches to a scarcity perspective in comparison, as opposed to the perspective of someone that is making money and growing and growing and growing. You have this exponential perspective instead of a stagnant and losing and weakening one. And that seems to also be an extremely interesting aspect of the psychology of like, but this just happens to be the game you like to play. You know, and for other people it's kicking a ball, and other people it's bouncing it. And, but why is this the greatest game? I tell you, I think the confrontation with reality and overcoming it is what makes that game so exciting. And I don't necessarily believe it's all of the luxuries that come with it, although many people do quite enjoy it. But I think the most satisfying human activities end up being, you know, our confrontations with reality and overcoming it creatively. And in a self-directed way. And it's, you know, but it can't just be any challenges. It must be chosen. It must be in line with who we are, with what we resonate with, and meeting a need and meeting a challenge that is possibly even beyond us. I believe in this, and you know, I also believe that this is not a physical task. And you know, I believe generally that, yeah, and to me, I am more inspired by the artist than the businessman. Although the capacity of the businessman impresses me. But the fruit does not. The ultimate fruit does not. And I feel like Alex Hormozi, you know, although he speaks quite well, and he does well to speak well of this game he plays, he does ignore the fact that people must be exploited in this game. People must lose. He doesn't do well to highlight that fact. And, you know, he's set to become a billionaire before he turns the age of 35, I believe. And I think me and him are about the same age. Maybe he's 2 years older than me. You know, he's set to become a billionaire. So by next year, I think he's set to be a billionaire. But the fruits of his billion, you know, he probably has the most philanthropic business model among any billionaire out there as soon as he becomes one. Because he makes money when you make money. And he's writing books. He's writing books and selling them for $1 for people anywhere in the world to be able to afford and use and instantly learn how to make money to free themselves. And he's interested in providing the means and the tools for people to free themselves. But there is no thought to question the system that we require freedom from. But but it becomes the means of freedom. But the very people he's selling this $1 book to, how do you think they become so poor and downtrodden? It is not just by being born that we are poor. It's like, he's just born in a poor country. Why is the country poor? It's underdeveloped. And it's I think it's and I've heard the phrase overextorted, overexploited. And the systems of domination have been well established, and they just happen to be on the losing end. You understand? When you see a country that is extremely rich in resources, and then all of the people are poor, this is the case. This is the case, and I don't believe it is unique. I think this is extremely common in the so-called developing world. Because they have not yet become dominators. They have not yet become powerful enough to resist these quote-unquote negotiations provided by the dominators, the formerly colonialist powers. And that's a sweeping and vague statement, but I fundamentally feel like it is true. And not to say the people of power inside of these nations internally dominating their own people for their own physical benefit. And what benefit is a Rolls Royce? What benefit is a mansion as you step outside and everyone is starving to death? I do not know. We are not yet evolved to know.